This is the pulse here on Joy News, and this afternoon, the NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama is calling on government to remove some of the taxes on LPG to enable a reduction in the prices of the commodity. The former president, who was speaking at an engagement with players in the downstream petroleum sector, also indicated that the nation needs to produce more gas to power the thermal plants which generate the country's electricity.
We've talked about LPG consumption, and there's a great concern today. I was reading a new collaboration that is beginning to take place between the African Development Bank and some partners to reduce the use of fuel wood in Africa. And the natural way to go is using LPG, or they also have some solar alternatives. But if you remember, as far back as the PNDC days, clean cook stoves and all that, promotion of LPG, it's switched a lot of people who at that time wanted to move them from kerosene, to gas. And a lot of people, went with it. Unfortunately, like he said, the consumption of fuel wood is going up and consumption of LPG is going down because of cost. And I also believe in my heart that really we should be reducing the taxes on LPG rather than increasing the taxes on LPG. To encourage our people to consume more of the LPG than to use the other alternatives, which are charcoal and others. We need to produce more gas, not only for LPG, but also for electricity production, for natural gas to fire our thermal plants.
Well, the petroleum sector players bemoan the increasing cost of doing business in the country and propose steps they believe will revive the sector should he consider them in case he wins the December election. Listen to Executive Director for ASEP, Ben Boache.
So the composite burden on the citizens, if you add taxes to it, you're looking at about 12 billion a year. The sad part is that even the taxes that we are collecting, they are not going into development. We are taxing the people to address problems that we are, creating all the time. EXLA was created to write off, the past debt. Now it cannot even pay coupons, right? We set up the Delta, which was also supposed to be applied to some of the debt. It also cannot do anything. And we keep creating more levies and charges on the same product that is supposed to run the economy. And I think it gets pretty frustrating, and we need to address that. If it was genuine tax revenue that is going into development, you can then align it, even if you want to do railway infrastructure, to be able to lessen the burden of the people. You know that you are taxing them for development. But we are taxing the people for such waste. And I think we need to critically look at it and address it.
Right, so we will stay with a related matter, and the warning here this afternoon is that we might experience, shortage in petroleum products, and here's why. Members of the Ghana National Petroleum Tankers Drivers Union, they've declared an indefinite sit-down strike demanding improved conditions of service. Now, according to the drivers, an agreed policy framework aimed at enhancing their salaries and other workings of condition has been on the table of the National Petroleum Authority Board since November 2023. Now, despite several efforts to get it approved, the aggrieved drivers say the NPA board has refused to vote on it for it to be implemented. Now, George Nyanu is chairman of the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union, and he says that a petition was sent to the presidency for the policy framework approval, which he says is yet to get a response.
We would like to take this opportunity to emphasize that this action of our drivers is driving our desire to protect Ghana investment and jobs. And it's our wish there will be an amicable resolution to assuage our concerns. Therefore, the 2 weeks ultimatum given has elapsed. As we speak now, we are in 3rd week Ladies and gentlemen, tanker drivers cannot wait any further. Therefore, from today, we are putting our tools down until MPA board approve the implementation of the framework.
So George Nyano is chairman of the Ghana National Petroleum Tankers Drivers Union, and he joins me via Zoom as we explore this and the ramification it will have on sale of petrol and other petroleum products on the market. Mr. Nyano, you're welcome to the Pulse. And I mean, clearly you are frustrated with the way things are with the MPA and government in implementing what you agreed on. So you were left with no option to declare strike action. Is it the case that the MPA and the other bodies are not forthcoming in addressing your concerns? Mr. Nyano, if you can unmute for me so we can hear you. Yeah, so we're trying to establish a connection with him. Mr. Nyano, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. So I was saying that clearly taking this decision at this time probably, amplifies the frustration you've been through because you are not getting the needed response. Is it a case that the MPA and government, they've been foot dragging on this matter, pushing you to take this very, serious decision to strike and not to work?
Yeah.
Hello, sir, can you hear me?
Thank you. Listen, authorities have pushed us so far, but clearly speaking, MPA as a whole is not having a problem with us.
Right.
MPA accepted the framework, but it's rather the board of MPA who are saying some of the OMCs that are owing their own trouble, have their own trouble. They wrote petition against the framework, and therefore they cannot approve it. That is the issue on the ground now.
So tell me, what is contained in this policy framework that you agreed with government or MPA and is now awaiting approval of the board? Walk us through what is contained in this and how that helps you.
Okay, thank you so much. Honestly, we are Ghanaians, we are workers of this country. And every worker in this country needs to earn salary at the end of the month. As I speak to you, way back 2017, which His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave directive to MPA by then Chief Executive of MPA is Mr. Hassan Tampuli.
Right.
And then Energy Minister Honorable Wachi Ajakon then. And he directed them to go and then solve our problem as we called on him at the Jubilee House. Doing that, Honorable Ajakon did not last on the seat and he exited. After he exited, we fought, we couldn't do anything.
And Mr. Nyano, what was the problem?
The problem is about drivers' condition of service. When I mean condition of service, that our salary, mainly our salary, and Senate. Our salary, Senate, and condition of service.
But you are not public sector workers, are you?
Come again?
You are not public sector workers. Is that not the case?
Yes.
So why did you involve the government in addressing the issues of salaries and conditions of service at the time when you are not public sector workers?
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, we know we are not public sector workers, but in the petroleum downstream, we were recognized as a major stakeholders.
Right.
We were recognized as a major stakeholders. And when you look at the job that we do, we were rectified as hazardous drivers. We carry hazardous products across the country. Despite we were not public sector workers, we were recognized as a major stakeholders. So authorities need to attend to our welfare because you can bear with me. The job that we do is like a military job. Okay? Yes, you can tell your family, I'm going to without earning salary and then Senate and all those facilities. So we appeal to the government. And then, clearly speaking, in the UPPF price builder,
Right, please go on.
Drivers' percentage, so far as drivers drivers' percentage are factored into the UPPF fleet, which is supposed to be given to them at the end of the month according to the work that you've done.
Right.
Are you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Yes, but the fact that transporters engage drivers, this money is given to the transporters to pay to their drivers at the end of every month per the work that has been done.
And you wanted that change?
No, not that we wanted it. Something happened, and that is the reason why we want the change.
All right.
We wish the transporters continue paying the drivers as it is. But as I speak to you,
we appear to have connection issues with Mr. Nyanu.
we are Ghanaians.
Yes.
End up, yes, some of them end up not paying drivers at all. Some of them decide what to be given to the driver.
So, Mr. Nyanu, you wanted to fix this issue.
On table.
Right.
Or end up giving what they want to the drivers on table. So we have seen clearly that it will not help because tanker drivers, some of them are aging. When they get old, when they get to go to retirement, they go home empty-handed. You see them maybe begging on the street. And we see that no, a hazardous worker in this country or in the industry cannot go home empty-handed.
So what was
Therefore,
the recommendation then?
Let us find a solution to solve that problem.
And what did you propose?
So, come again?
What did you propose to fix this problem?
Yes. So during Honorable Peter Mewu time, we sent the petition to the President, and we were directed to see the Honorable Minister, Energy. So he said, no, if that is the case, a pool should be created so that driver's salary or driver's margin will be put in the pool so that we use the pool to take care of the drivers.
Right.
So that we can separate drivers' margin from transporters' margin, which we agree. So the new chief executive, Dr. Mustafa came and then constituted a committee on it. We have sat there for 6 months, involving all the stakeholders. A framework is drafted and signed just for implementation to take effect from last year, November. And as I speak to you today, still
there's not been any movement. My understanding
the framework is still lying down without implementation.
But my understanding is that some of the OMCs are against your proposal. The reason why this is stalling.
Yes. And we are saying, in the sector, we have Tanker Owners Union. So irrespective of whoever owns tanker in the country is directly under the Tanker Owners Union. So if Tanker Owners Union, 100% of Tanker Owners Union agreed to the framework, and some of the OMCs who are owning their own trucks at the same time fall under the Tanker Owners Union will stand and kick against the framework. And that is the challenge that we are having.
So now, until the board of MPA sits on this matter, you cannot have any decision. Is that the case?
Yes. You see, we are ready to work and serve the country because we are Ghanaians. We use fuel as well. But what we were told by MPA, that everything is done, but because of the petition raised against the framework by some of the OMCs, the board of directors of MPA also refused to approve, finally, to start work.
So why don't you continue to dialogue with the relevant parties to address the concerns raised by the OMC instead of taking this hardline action of embarking on a strike?
Okay, thank you. Yes, we have dialogue severally. After that, even MPA gave us a deadline of 1 month to go and sit down with the transporters and the OMC and come back to them.
Mr. Yanu, I think your connection.
The court is going.
Right.
I called to find out what is happening. Time is running faster. The time MPA gave us is getting nearer. They gave us 1 month. Before I realized, I was told he traveled outside, and I called him to confirm is he in the country, and he told me he traveled outside the country to seek a medical attention. Now, he knows very well that we have issue at hand. So if you are traveling, the people that you are having issue with them to address, what are you supposed to do? You have to inform them. But he did not inform us till I called him. All right. So we try all possible best. And they pay because they have money past us. They are our bosses. And there's nothing we can do. So
yeah, we are having connections issue, but there's a very important question.
Last month,
right.
a press release.
Right.
Yes, a press release, and we gave them 2 weeks that we want to respond to our issue. We gave them 2 weeks without hearing from them. We will advise ourselves. As I talk to you today, the 2 weeks elapsed. We even sit down for another week, making 3 weeks plus. Aside that, on the 7th of May this month, we wrote a petition to the president that he's the first gentleman of the land. This is where we have reached. So he should come to our aid. As I speak to you now, we did not hear response from the president as well. Whether the petition has got to his table or not, we don't know. And clearly speaking, we are tired.
And
as
so,
I speak to you, the same transporters and OMC who are kicking against this, sometimes they end up arresting our drivers to police station. We make a follow-up and bail them based on shortages and all those things. And the pool is saying now, no burden will be on transporter so far as shortage is concerned.
All right.
The pool will take care if indeed investigation is conducted and find out that the shortage is really coming from the driver. The NPA will deal with the driver.
Mr. Janu,
so if you are thinking against this,
but Mr. Janu, let me ask you. Let's look at the implications of your action. You are transporting petroleum products. You say that effective immediately. You are not doing that work any longer. What will be the implications of this action that you have taken today?
Okay, thank you. I'll be very grateful if, excuse me to say, if you can ask yourself, if a worker work at the end of the month without getting salary, what would be the implication to him?
This is a national security issue. Because if we have shortages...
Okay, national security issue. Who are the national security? Are we not part of national security? Tanker drivers are not part of national security. Is their safety not needed? Their welfare not needed?
And so, fuel shortage is likely going to be the effect of this action you've taken. You've looked at it?
We have worked with an empty stomach for so long. Respectfully respect our own. Take time, relax, we will assist you, we will handle it, we will do it. As I said, from 2017, the city president gave directives that some people to attend to us. And as I speak to you now, some of tanker drivers in this country take 300 Ghana cedis a month on table without paying SNIT. Can you imagine this, my brother?
So again, back to my question, if this continues, if there's no intervention, what is going to happen is that in few days or weeks to come, we are likely to experience fuel shortages. And that is because we've decided to embark on a strike to protest against what you describe as poor working conditions. But you also do understand that you work for people. The trust belongs to your bosses. I mean, have you considered the fact that it may have far more implications for you and your members if your boss decide that, okay, you are on strike, let me take my truck and give it to someone else to drive it.
Okay, thank you so much. If a transporter decides to take his truck and give it to another driver, fair enough. Are you saying the incoming driver who is coming to drive, is he coming to drive for free? Please, you just answer my question. I agree. They bought their truck. They have every right to say we should put the trucks down. All right? You are telling me, or Ghanaians will bear with me, that the incoming driver who is coming to take over the truck as new driver, is he coming to work for free?
All right. And since you announced this action this morning, has there been any response from MP or the government?
Not yet.
Okay.
We are ready to work as far as authorities arise, okay, and approve our framework. Okay, we are going to go. We are not here to sabotage anybody. That's why I said the sitting president currently even give go ahead to authorities concerned to take care and address our issue. You can find out from the president if I'm lying.
All right, Mr. George Nanu, thank you.
We don't know why some people try to at least sit down. Look, before you go, let me give you some one scenario.
Right.
2020, during 2019, 2020, during COVID-19, tanker drivers, okay, were tagged as essential drivers in the country to work, okay? Because if tanker drivers sit down, the country will run out of petroleum products.
Right.
Though we have COVID-19. After COVID-19, we were told a national cake has been shared by the president among those essential driver workers. Ask and find out today as I speak to you, where is the share of tanker drivers?
You didn't get anything.
Find out.
We'll verify that Mr. George Nanu is chairman of the Tanker Drivers Association of Ghana. And the news this afternoon is that they've embarked on a strike action in protest against what they describe as poor working conditions. The implication of their action is that if this is not addressed immediately, we are likely to experience fuel shortages across the country because their main job is to transport fuel products from Tema or any of the bulk storage plants across the country to every part of the country. And today they say that they are poorly paid, their working conditions, nothing to write home about. They wrote a petition, a policy framework was developed. MPA is sitting on it because the board has yet to approve of it because some concerns raised by some OMCs. This is a matter that will stay on and bring you any development that may arise. But let me take you to Parliament now because the minority are sounding the alarm on an alleged illegal recruitment being secretly done into the security services by government. Minority Leader Dr. Kaysel Atofos at a news conference alleged that all MPP parliamentary candidates ahead of the December elections have been given 30 slots, each to pick MPP supporters and foot soldiers to pack the security agencies, including the police and the army. Listen to him make the point yesterday at a news conference.
Notwithstanding the fact that the minority raised serious concerns about the criteria adopted by the NPP government to recruit personnel into the security services, it has persisted in taking additional steps in the last few days that we have seen. The NDC minority can authoritatively state that not long ago, the NPP government again has illegally and fraudulently given out 30 slots to all MPP parliamentary candidates across the country for the recruitment into the security services, namely Ghana Police Service, 2, the Immigration Service, 3, the Fire Service, 4, the Ghana Army, 5, the Ghana Navy, and 6, the Ghana Air Force. 30 slots to each parliamentary candidate of the NPP. The recruitment of the NPP foot soldiers into the security services, especially in this election year, is a calculated attempt to compromise the elections. given that the loyalty of the new recruit in the event that they are deployed will be to the ruling MPP and not to the state, as it is required for all security personnel. The murder of the 8 innocent Ghanaians during the 2020 presidential elections and parliamentary elections by the MPP party hooligans marks as security personnel is still fresh on our minds. These needless deaths as a result of the infiltration of our security services by such NPP thugs and hoodlums who were recruited into the security services. The blood of those whose lives were unlawfully and violently taken by the NPP thugs in security uniforms will continue to be in the hands of this government. Ladies and gentlemen, it is unacceptable that the government continues to put cheap partisan considerations ahead of the overall peace, security, and stability of our country in the run-up to the 2024 elections. We wish to remind His Excellency the President, President Akufo-Addo, and the Vice President, Alhaji Bawumia, that they will not have their way this time round, regardless of whatever maneuverings that they will roll out in the 2024 elections. We will resist these shenanigans with all our might and all our strength. Our members, our supporters, and sympathizers will not just defend themselves against unlawful attacks by the NPP thugs in uniform. We shall hold these NPP hoodlums personally responsible for their unlawful violation of the laws of Ghana and the legitimate rights of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, it is in the interest of the NPP foot soldiers to act lawfully or face the full consequences of their actions and the wrath of our supporters. Just as the minority protested vehemently against the politicization of our security services through illegal recruitment in 2019, we once again demand that recruitment into all the security services be halted forthwith to allow for advertisement to be made with the qualification criteria duly spelled out for all to see. By so doing, we would have created equal opportunity for all Ghanaians who would then be selected on the basis of merit and not cheap partisanship and nepotistic consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that this practice must stop.
So this was yesterday in Parliament when the minority, addressed this thorny issue in the House, but failed to provide evidence to back this very important claim that they made yesterday. That the Interior Minister this morning responded to it, denying that such arrangement is in place to afford MPP parliamentary candidate the opportunity to bring in people to be recruited into the security services and challenge the NDC to bring evidence. Now, in Parliament today, the majority caucus also had a news conference to respond to this matter. Patricia Piaget is the deputy majority leader, and she's been responding to this claim made by the NDC minority yesterday.
A candidate or a member of Parliament has been allocated with any recruitment slots into any of our security services. These claims are not only false, but are a desperate attempt by the minority to incite public disfavor against the government as we approach the 2024 general elections. Minority's assertion that 276 MPP parliamentary candidates, including 138 sitting MPs, have each been given 30 recruitment slots is mathematically and administratively ludicrous. To suggest that about over 8,000, I should say 8,000 and about 250 new recruits could be absorbed into our security forces in a system that traditionally accommodates about 1,000 to 1,200 recruits annually shows a profound misunderstanding of the operational and financial framework of our security institutions. The claims by Dr. Kesu Atoforsen, the minority leader, are a deliberate distortion of reality and a malicious fabrication aimed at undermining the integrity of the government. Such allegations serve only to provoke unwarranted tensions and foster an environment of mistrust and political rivalry that our country does not need. Our respected Interior Minister, the Honorable Korti, has already outlined the government's recruitment strategy, which focuses on giving a second chance to qualified Ghanaians who previously applied but were not selected. This approach is not only fair, but also thoughtful, avoiding unnecessary financial burdens on applicants by not reopening the recruitment process widely. We urge the minority to refrain from spreading misinformation and to respect the intelligence of the Ghanaian public. Such tactics are beneath the dignity of our democratic processes and could potentially endanger the peace and the security of our nation. As the governing party, we remain committed to fairness, transparency, and the rule of law. We will not be swayed by these groundless accusations, but will continue to work diligently to ensure the safety and the security of all Ghanaians. We call on all parties and media houses to demand factual accuracy and to contribute responsibly to the political discourse of our nation. Let us move forward, not with falsehoods and fear, but with facts and faith in our democratic institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So Patricia Piaget is the Deputy Majority Leader, and she addressed that news conference in reaction to the one held by the NDC minority yesterday, alleging recruitment into the security services by MPP parliamentary candidates because they've been given a quota to fill in the gaps. And already, as we've been told, the Interior Minister says that the matter cannot be true, and they are demanding evidence so that they can probe this further if the need be. But we'll stay with politics and ahead of the 2024 general election. We're also keeping an eye on the Electoral Commission news conference that's also coming up pretty shortly. You want to stay tuned in here on the Pulse on Joy News for the update on what they've done so far in the limited voter registration exercise, the arrest and dismissal of some of their registration officers in Pusiga for aiding the registration of people with fake Ghana card. But the National Commission for Civic Education says persons who campaign for votes on the basis of religion are nation wreckers who must be rejected outright by the electors. Speaking at the launch of the Inter-Party Dialogue Committee, NCCE Commissioner Kathleen Ade warned that campaigns along religious and ethnic lines could destabilize the country as Ghana heads for the crucial 2024 elections. She insists such persons must not be given the audience, and such persons must also be voted against.
We are also paying close attention to religious intolerance and ethnic-based campaigns that are divisive and that do not augur well for us. The ethnic-based campaigns are something that we see popping up during most elections. It's a very unhealthy practice, and we hope that as time goes on, as we deepen and mature in our democracy, we will see less and less of that. In fact, it is our hope that the nearly 1 million new voters that will vote this year will not continue the practice of old of voting along ethnic lines. The other thing is religious intolerance, which is a new threat that we are dealing with as a country. It is a very dangerous development that now people want to couch messages in terms of religion, why one person should vote for one type of religion or another person should not vote for one type of religion. let me reinstate here that when political actors come to you and say that vote for me on the basis of this religion, or don't vote for somebody else on the basis of that religion, you must know that they do not have your interest at heart. Because we know that in countries where there are divisions along religious lines, there's never peace and harmony. Here in Ghana, we are fortunate. We have not had that problem in the past. And let this year not be the year that we start to create further divisiveness on the basis of religion.
Right. Kathleen Ade also explains the phenomenon of vote buying, says it's a ticking time bomb warning. If the country does not rally to end the practices, it will set a dangerous precedent for the country's democracy.
The one which is so critical is the demand and supply of money in election campaigns, in the political campaigns. This year, we are seeing more and more of that. It is worrying, it is disturbing, and it is a very negative development and very unfortunate. As we grow in our democracy, we should be getting stronger. The democratic culture should be better rooted and ingrained. We should move away from negative things. But when it comes to money and politics, it looks like the more we mature in the democracy, the more we make it about money. This is completely wrong. And if it was just something that was wrong, maybe we could just have a discussion about it. But this is something that is actually very dangerous, because the money that is shared, you have no idea where it comes from. But I can assure you that it is never free money. It is money that came from some place, and it will definitely go back to that place with interest. Let us stop making demands for money from political actors, so that when they win, we can hold them properly accountable on the things that are important to us. We want to see development in education, in health, in infrastructure. We want to see a reduction in corruption. We want to see a deepening of civic culture. We want to see better and upright citizens. So if these are the things we want to see, then we should not be demanding money of people coming to, people putting themselves out to be elected.
Person for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimeyao Shaibu, has been cautioning the media against allowing intemperate language on the airwaves. He has also charged the media to play its watchdog role effectively to safeguard the peace of this country in this election year.
We rely on you so much. If somebody comes to your media house and is using, or excuse my language, he speaks in a very reckless manner without thinking about the implication of, one, the content of what he says, and two, the tone of the discussions, then you must be those who can keep that discussion under control. Media discussions must be so healthy and seen as an opportunity to make an exchange in how we put ideas together and help us in a way as to really arrive at a choice of the best that is good for our country. And I think that she has made those points very, very clear to us. If you do not help us to do so, then you help us to break our country. We have only one Ghana. Anytime there is conflict, there is war, and we all run away and we cross the borders of Ghana, we lose the respectability of our identity. Over there, we are called what? If I was in the classroom, I would ask you a question. Over there, we are called what? Can you all answer me? Refugees.
And of course, we will stay a little longer on governance issues, because in spite of widespread criticism, President Akufo-Addo has been defending his track record in every aspect of governance, and system is one that is unmatched and makes him very proud. Now, while swearing in new ministers and deputies, he listed the various sectors of the economy and touted his record whilst admonishing his new appointees to build upon the work done so far.
That in all modesty, I'm exceedingly proud of my record in office and the considerable achievements that have been recorded in all sectors of national life these last 7.5 years, one or two of which have been very difficult as a result of global developments. Whether it is in the management of the national economy, in education, healthcare, roads, railways, digitalization, infrastructural development, agricultural and industrial transformation, the protection of Ghana's territorial integrity and security, the fight against corruption, the battle against environmental degradation, the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, entrenching the tenets of good governance and the rule of law, contributing to the attainment of regional and continental integration and unity, being at the forefront of the growing demand for the reform of global governance institutions, or in advocating respect for international law and multilateralism. The record is there for all to see. And I believe it is one which, in all humility, is at the least the equal of any in the history of the Fourth Republic. I can say in all good conscience that I have not betrayed the mandates the good people of Ghana conferred on me.
So that event took place at the Jubilee House last night, and we'll take a short break here on the pulse. When we return, we'll talk a lot more about this congestion charge in the UK, £5 million over 20 years. The Ghana Embassy have not paid. We'll take you to the Electoral Commission's office for that new conference, updating the nation on the limited voter registration exercise, plus more here on the pulse with me, Elton Gobe. Stay right there, we shall be back. Come back to the show here on Joy News. Now, this raging controversy about the sale of some SNIT properties, including hotels, to the Food and Agriculture Minister. And Mr. Brandon Champon, who is the Sector Minister, is denying any conflict of interest in his hotel's purchase of 60% stake in the hotels controlled by SNIT. Now, Northton MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate allegations of conflict of interest, abuse of power, and procurement breaches in the deal. The hotels include Labadi Beach Hotel, La Palm Royal Resort, Elmina Beach Resort, Ridge Royal Hotel in Cape Coast, Wusia Beach Hotel, and the Trust Lodge Hotel. Bernard Champon says he must be treated differently from the hotel. Adding, all processes were followed, and he had nothing directly involved in the running of the hotel.
And granted a certificate from the Speaker to engage in these business transactions. He remains the sole beneficial owner of Rock City and stands to directly benefit from these transactions. So there are constitutional issues that I have raised.
First of all, we have succeeded in pooling the data of all 275 members of Parliament who own shares in companies in Ghana. And they are way more than the 47 that you are talking about. I'm talking about those who have certificates. Because the issue is about it's not about beneficial owner or shareholder. Beneficial owner simply means shareholder. Owning shares in multimedia, Rock City, MTN, Unilever, FanMilk, if you own shares in this company, you don't go to Speaker for permission to own shares in this company. If you are a non-executive director of a company, you don't go to the Speaker to seek permission to be able to do that. In the case of Rock City, I am a shareholder, 100% shareholder, and I was shareholder of this company before I became minister. And in Ghana, those who know Rock City knows that it belongs to Brian Champon. And I am not I'm not occupying an office for profit in Rock City, and I am not receiving emolument.
But you are the director.
But I am the director. I am the no.
From the incorporation articles
hold on.
You are the director.
If you go to hold on, be patient, please. If you go to Registrar General, the forms ask for 2 directors. I am one director and another person. But in the functional role that I will receive emoluments or occupy an office for profit in the organization, or my activities in the organization will prevent me from doing my work in Parliament or as a minister, does not come in. So being a director, as per Registrar General's documentation, and functioning as a non-executive director in the functional role are 2 different things. So, Sami, you don't. And I have all the list of the NDC MPs who own shares in companies but don't have certificate from the Speaker because of their roles in these organizations. So please, stand educated on that.
So the Food and Agriculture Minister and Samuel Okudjo Black, the Member of Parliament for North Tom, spoke on the Super Morning Show this morning, and already this matter is taking a life of its own, and we'll bring you more details in subsequent bulletins. But the Boundary Commission of Ghana and Burkina Faso have signed a draft framework agreement on cross-border cooperation that will see the two countries collaborate to help with much-needed development for border communities. Now, speaking after a 3-day joint technical meeting between the two countries, which discussed various boundary-related issues, Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, said it was an important development for the two boundary institutions. Masola Gbagba has more in this report.
Many border communities in Ghana and Burkina Faso lack much-needed social amenities such as hospitals, schools, potable drinking water, and many others. Some security analysts argue that terrorists can exploit some of these vulnerabilities to infiltrate countries. The African Union Framework on Cross-Border Cooperation seeks to, amongst others, promote good neighborliness between countries. Speaking after a joint technical meeting between Ghana and Burkina Faso, Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, said the framework will help the two countries identify the needs of border communities and make provisions for them.
Some of these has to do with social intervention that is based on human security interventions, like assisting those people, those communities to construct schools, rehabilitation of hospitals, clinics, and then supply of water and what have you. Basically, it's human needs activities. But then, for cross-border, we will pick communities on both sides, see their common needs, and then we will be able to assist them. Another thing that is associated with this is the sensitization, continuous sensitization. There are quite a number of border communities who really do not understand what the boundary pillars are.
He also stated the two countries will seek funding from development partners to fund the project.
The cross-border cooperation is one conduit in which the two boundary commissions will work together. They will do a research and identify some deprived communities, and then they will prescribe what should be done in those communities jointly, whether it's in Ghana or a neighboring country. Now, once that is identified, we will then seek for funding, normally from development partners, sometimes even from our own governments. We should be able to do so. You realize that as part of the framework, funding is one of the key issues. So how do we get funding for this? Either a joint effort between the two boundary commissions looking for funds, or individually seeking funds from our own governments to be able to conduct. In Ghana, we've done so well so far as these community projects are concerned. One, we have a community in where we call Leklebi Kame, and we've got ECOWAS funding, where we have rehabilitated a health clinic. Again, the Ghana government provided us support to start the road construction in the Dollar Power and Sapelga, where we have been able to open up access routes to those border communities. In addition, these roads are serving as a link for regular inspection of our international boundaries. So these are some of the efforts that we've also collaborated with the Ministry of National Security to drill boreholes to certain deprived communities along the border communities.
The head of the Burkina Faso Boundary Commission, Salamata Dabal, expressed excitement about the signing of the draft document. She's optimistic it will open new doors of opportunities for border communities. Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso, Boniface Gambila Adagbila, urged the two countries to continue on the good path of cooperation.
We are really bound together. Nobody can break our bond. My sister across the boundary, my brothers across the boundary can never say they are not my brothers and sisters. There's no way.
And back home in Ghana, provide rubbish bins and discipline those who don't comply. That's the resounding tone of residents, traders, and passerby at the huts of the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, where filth is not a strange element. They tell Joy News they do their best to sweep and clear gutters, but lack of bins, rubbish bins render their work useless as the garbage collected and gathered ends up also on the streets and gutter. There is more into this filth exhibition with Hannah Odami.
The verdicts of these residents and traders at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle is a sum of many others Joy News spoke to. Yes, they are aware of the filth in which they live and sell, but the solution, according to them, lies in the authorities who have to provide them with rubbish bins.
Circle property had the intimate friend say, Obia do pewa.
This place, people choose to throw rubbish anywhere and anyhow. So we need dustbins so that people will find it difficult throwing rubbish on the floor. Just look at how nasty it is to see the heaps of rubbish in the middle of the road. The people from AMA sweep the area, but how the rubbish is collected is not the best. Rubbish containers are needed to keep all garbage collected. Just see how people throw rubbish on the floor, just because there is no dustbin.
As an average joint to be a more boiler container. Oh, boiler go on, as a message, and we're very pretty baby.
Even after collection, the nauseating stench that fills the air in the immediate surrounding is not befitting for a city center. Reason why some are calling for stringent measures to deal with persons who litter the area.
When it rains, you can't even pass by this area because you will see how the rainwater will expose the littered rubbish all over, and the stench from the gutted rubbish is overpowering. I suggest that the policemen stationed under the bridge discipline those who throw rubbish away carelessly.
Said the Bayer had be neat, and city pan and so no my time. Sabi across the clan, no corner my honeymoon to say. Ya there be a best certificate because of Bola, Obian or Penama for authorities overhead the city.
Government to try for it because everywhere is dirty. When you go to even Accra, Sepuye, I cannot even mention some many places, you see. They are dirty, maybe should be organized, the Zoom Lion, they should be packing it early so that everywhere will be clean. Because when you are using the odor, it can give you some bad cholera or disease. But you know, government should just try to put people around so that there will be monitor everywhere. And people too, they should give people warning. They should not put Gola inside the gutter or the environment. They should keep everywhere clean.
Whilst they wait for governments, perhaps they can take a cue from their fellow traders right opposite them, who have devised a strategy to keep their surroundings clean.
Yeah, how shall you cool? Your shops here, you won't a candy for woman. It's me, I will make a 7 a chairman. Men share 7 million, me dreading in no.
We are a group of traders who have chosen to keep our environment clean. We don't rely on government at all to keep our environment clean. And when we get in of our members flouting the rules, we punish the person to ensure that everyone complies.
Obi free baby na ma be aban bi free baby and na munu bi dabi baby o ten one association ho ye na se yan omra bi e be fa no e bi 200 say the be next time no onya sa bi mi tu ba ya no o pra e mra ye de ahye o ma kai ho.
Reiterating this is a phone case seller, Lukman Yaya, who is certain a lifestyle change is urgently needed to deal with the daily filth they see.
For me, it's no good. Because the reason why they are putting it there, there's no dash bin. If there is dash bin, they'll put it, if the car come, they'll carry it and go. But because it's not dash bin, some will always tie on the rubber, some don't even tie it, they'll go and just pour it there. They're supposed to talk to the Zoom Lions to put the dash bin around if they see somebody putting pure water rubber on the ground, oh, pick it. Or we ourselves can advise ourselves, oh, my brother or my sister, pick the thing. Then you keep the place clean. But here, it's no man's land. So anything that you want, you can do and go. So I advise my brothers, my sisters, and let me say everybody, that we should try to keep the country clean as well.
From the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, I am Hannah Odami for joining us.
I can take you to the United Kingdom, but it's a matter that affects the Ghana High Commission there, because the Ghana High Commission in London owes city authorities over £5 million sterling in congestion charges. The congestion charge is a road toll that is paid by diplomats who drive through a certain square mile of the city of London. Despite communication from the UK government that a congestion charge is a service fee and not a tax, several embassies in London continue to amass significant debt totaling millions of pounds sterling. Leading the list is the American embassy with an outstanding debt of £14.6 million. It is followed by the embassy of Japan and India owing £10.1 million and £8.6 million respectively. On your screen now are further details as we have it, the embassies and how much they owe from the United States embassy. It goes all the way to India, Japan, China, and Ghana is in there, owing the UK authorities or the City of London £5 million sterling. And this has been a 20-year period of, driving through some areas designated as, congestion areas and refusing to pay the congestion charge. Well, the UK authorities are actively seeking to recover these fees and related penalties, even considering escalating the issue to the International Court of Justice. But should we be worried in view of what is happening? International Relations expert Dr. Ishmael Holobo says there is no cause for alarm as of now.
There is no cause for worry because Ghana-UK relations are quite stable and strong. And of course, disagreements are normal part of diplomatic relations. So they may want to put certain pressures on you to pay. But at the end of the day, they themselves have taken the option of going to the international court. So that is even better, so that when they get there, the issue can be resolved peacefully. So I don't think that there is any implication for our relation with the UK. Countries will always have disagreement as to some of these issues, and they will have to settle it either diplomatically or through the international institutions as we have them. So you don't get worried because they threaten to go to the international court. Well, what it means is that then you have the chance to present your case as to why you think it is not a service charge, that it is a tax. And in this case, they are not going to send Ghana alone to the court. They are going to send all these other countries, and then the court will have to determine if this is a service charge that diplomats are supposed to pay, or it falls under the tax exemptions that the various countries grant diplomats under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations.
Let me bring in Dr. Nuhu Idana. He is an assistant professor in law at the School of Law, SOAS, University of London. Nuhu convenes and teaches contract law and commercial law in a global context. He also teaches on the transnational law, finance and technology at the postgraduate level. Nuhu, good afternoon, welcome to the pod. So, is this a matter that should be of concern to Ghanaians? £5 million over 20 years, Ghana embassy refusing to pay, and so are other Ghana embassy refusing to pay, and so are other embassies. And the city described them as a stubborn minority.
Thank you so much for getting in touch with me. And indeed, going straight to, and thank you to your listeners too as well. Going straight to the question you've just posed, considering the letter that they've issued, I'm sure you are well aware that the U.S. Embassy also came out with their rebuttal, indicating clearly that they consider the congestion charges to be tax, of which they are exempted based on the international law requirements. And if you go and look at the Vienna Convention on international relations, you will come to appreciate that if it has to do with tax or other dues, that are charged either regionally or the municipal level or at the regional level, diplomatic categories of persons are exempted from paying that, with the exception of services. If that is, if they provide services, then that one they are supposed to pay. So, and this is being disputed. But the question is, what is not known to us is that as to whether the Transport for London have been able to reach out to the various embassies to actually confirm, or high commissions to confirm or to actually demand the payment. I think from the earlier interaction, it seems they haven't been contacted.
Right.
So until they actually reach out to them and they are able to actually respond to them, they'll be able to look at it and then respond appropriately. It is based on that they can even think about, even if they reach a deadlock, that is when they can consider the option of going to court. But until that is exhausted, I don't think it is the time is right for them to consider, to be considering going to the international court to compel the various embassies, including Ghana, to pay the money. So I'm in support of the earlier submission made by Samuel that, there's no cause for worry for now. It is normal in legal, within the legal terrain for someone to issue a threat that if you don't actually pay this debt that I claim you owe, then I will go to court. And that is really normal. And so until they reach a deadlock, I don't think there will be any legal action against the High Commission of Ghana in the UK.
So educators, so this is policy by the City of London authorities. This is not this is not the UK government program. Is that not the case?
That is exactly. So the policy was introduced in 2003 to actually, and indeed there was an earlier. It's not an earlier data demonstrate that Singapore introduced that in 1975 thereabout.
Right. But
their system was slightly different from what has been introduced by the UK, City of London or the London Baron, and they introduced it to actually reduce. There were reasons that actually accounted for the introduction of the congestion charges. So just to minimize the number of traffic within the City of London, and that has been extended to other confines. So if you are driving into the congested area, the defined zone, then you have to pay, for example, any individual coming in will have to pay an amount of £15 a day for just driving in. If you go out and you're coming back again, you have to pay that amount again. But there are some category of vehicles that are exempted from paying this particular amount of money. So diplomats also, because most of the embassies are located within the congestion zone.
Exactly.
That is the City of London is demanding that they pay that amount of money as well. So, and like what seems to be available is that I think since 2003 to date, it's like Ghana, the US, and the other countries that are alleged to be indebted hugely have not been paying that amount of money. But interestingly, what is very interesting is that Denmark and some other countries seem to have fulfilled their obligation of paying that amount. Have paid that amount of money, and you see that Togo is listed as a least owing country with only £40, implying that some of them are aware. So, but as to whether Transport for London, reach out to these embassies and they did their payment is what we are not aware of, and whether they reach out to them and what happened. Is it that they've not reached out to the Ghana High Commission and then the US Embassy and the various other high commissions in there? If they have not, what has caused that? If they did, what has prompted the silence all this while for them to actually resist that by making it clear that this is a tax, but not, this is a tax or dues of which they are exempted from. But if they had made that, I'm sure this would have been resolved earlier without we actually reaching this level.
But again, if you look at the embassies that have paid and those that have not paid, is it a case that there is some kind of bilateral relations between these embassies and the United Kingdom such that they find it obligatory to pay? Because in Ghana, for example, before we discarded the idea of road tolls, embassies operating in Ghana were exempted from paying road tolls. Perhaps that is the same understanding the Ghana embassy in the UK has also adopted to say that, yes.
Yeah, precisely. So that is why the U.S. reaction is that they are exempted from paying dues or tax as far as international law requirements are concerned. So if you look at it from that angle, I would have wished that this conversation had been brought up, and it was brought up long ago when they implemented that policy, so that those, discussions would have actually occurred. But again, once an issue arises, a solution will be found for it. And I expect that the right officials to the various embassies concerned, high commissions concerned, including Ghana High Commission, so that based on that, they will be able to actually properly respond to them. If they respond, and I think some kind of a negotiation will have to go in if we have to pay that. But looking at the law provision itself, it seems very clear that this is going to be inconsistent with the International Convention requirement, which says that once it's service that the person is running, unless it's service, but this one appears to be tax you are paying, or dues you are paying for driving into a congestion area. If it is so, indeed, they are not supposed to pay. But then the question will be, what about those countries that have complied and they paid? So in that context, if it is contested, particularly given that a reaction has already been issued by the U.S. Embassy, I would expect that the other embassies also follow suit by actually responding to it, or probably wait patiently to get a written, a request from the Transport for London, and they could respond appropriately. And based on that, if they reach a point where payment will be required, then they'll be able to actually see either some negotiation goes in to ensure that the time frame is allowed for payment. But I suspect that looking at the law itself, they may have to give it a test. They may have to test the law if it has not been tested before, to actually see whether that aspect constitutes tax or dues that the U.S. Embassy actually raises, which I think to side with them.
And that's the question I was coming to, whether you support the idea that the International Court of Justice will bring finality to this matter.
Yes, so before even the International Court of Justice comes in, I think what needs to be done is the initial engagement by the parties. But as it speaks now, it appears there hasn't been that engagement yet. So what Transport for London needs to do is to write officially to the various high...
Right. Connection issues there to Nuhu Idana, Associate Law Lecturer in the UK. Educating us on this matter that is in the United Kingdom, and it's about the Ghana and other embassies like the United States owing the UK government for driving through congestion areas and refusing to pay the congestion charge. And that's what we're trying to get his understanding of it and to find out more as we progress on this particular matter. But again, the news is that Ghana owe £5 million, and this is for a 20-year period. And then the U.S. Embassy is leading the pack with over £14 million, followed by there's Japan, there's China, and then Ghana is in there. The least country, the least owing country is actually Togo. That's about £40. And of course, that's what we've been discussing. But he says that it doesn't give any cause for worry. The City of London, they've indicated they may go to the International Court of Justice to bring finality to this matter. And we'll follow this up for you. Now, let's move to some other stories. And mom's guilt is a pervasive feeling that many new mothers experience, and it can be exacerbated by insufficient maternity leave. Health professionals say policies that support extended and paid maternity leave are essential for the mental health and well-being of new mothers. This, they believe, will reduce the rate of which new mothers fall into depression after childbirth. And Joy News documentary will bring that documentary to you shortly. But let me conclude this discussion with Dr. Nuhu Idana. So, Doctor, we are talking about finality being brought on this matter by the International Court of Justice. And I'm also interested in the tone of the language used in that statement, if you like, from the City of London, where they describe those who have refused to pay as, stubborn minority. Diplomatically, is it right?
Actually, when I saw that description, I think I was a bit surprised to have read that too. I think it's good to communicate properly well, and particularly when you are dealing with other, co-equal, person like the various high commission representing various, independent countries,
right?
Including Ghana and the US and what. So, like, to have used that term, I think it was really not up to that, particularly when the other countries are appearing, or the other embassies are appearing that they are unaware of even the set alleged amount of money that they owe the Transport for London. So they could have used they could have used another way to describe that instead of saying stubborn minority.
But we shouldn't be worried as a country.
Well, for now, as I said, unless the engagement is completed, so what happened is that I will require that, I will expect the Transport for London to write to the various high commissions and demand that they pay, and based on that, they will also respond appropriately. Now, I think what seemed to be the case, I'm not sure they've written to them, because it's like the Ghana Embassy, the Ghana High Commission appear not to have been written to, so I expect that they will write to them. Alternatively, given the publicity that has, their public message that has been circulating, probably I will think that Ghana Embassy need to just remain calm and probably reach out to them, or if Transport for London reach out to them, because the Transport for London cannot go to court until they actually reach a deadlock with the various high commissions.
All right.
So the other option they could do is to reach out to each other and then take a unanimous decision to write officially to them, or complain to the government, to the UK government, about such a letter, and then they could begin the negotiation and we'll see what happened then.
All right,
but for now, I don't think we should be worried, because it's not only Ghana that is involved. A number of countries are involved in this context. So until that diplomatic engagement is done and reach a conclusion and there's a deadlock, that is when we can then be considering going to court, or Transport for London considering going to court, and we will respond appropriately.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor, for your time. This is Dr. Nuhu Yidanam, is Associate Professor of Law in the UK. And we'll follow up on this matter and to bring you the very latest on this issue. But the bottom line is that we shouldn't be worried, because the matter is still being, litigated. And I was talking to you about Joy News' latest documentary on depression, When the Mind is Not. Some mothers say the 3-month maternity leave is woefully inadequate and is contributing to additional risks for postpartum depression symptoms. Here are excerpts from the documentary produced by Emmanuel Jivenu.
Like your baby, you don't like your baby, you don't even want to be a mother. It's like, is this thing for me? And also, is this the thing that is so hyped? This wasn't really living up to my expectations.
The risk factors of mental illness can vary from hormonal changes to lack of support and a history of mental health issues.
People generally going through a lot of psychosocial stresses. When we talk about psychosocial stresses, finances is a psychosocial stressor. Marital problems, if you are married, is a psychosocial. Even work, your concerns about work. Am I going to lose my job? How much maternity leave am I entitled to? Will I be replaced if I go? So all these are psychosocial stresses that can trigger it.
Dealing with postpartum depression involves a combination of self-care strategies, seeking professional help, building a support network, and making lifestyle adjustments.
As a mother, if you know that you are supposed to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months, that's what the public health nurses tell us all the time. And then, yet you have to go back to work after 3 months. There's going to be so much pressure on you to make sure that the breast milk is flowing, you bond with your baby, you put everything in place before you go back to work. And mind you, at that time, still, your hormones have not returned to normal. You physically, mentally, emotionally, you're not ready for work. You can't even be productive at work. And then also, one of the things that people don't talk about is mom guilt. So you're at work and you're feeling so guilty leaving the 3-month-old is barely, it's still a newborn at home under the care of who? If you don't have the right assistance, then, who is it? So I believe that extending maternity leave I mean, I feel that will play a role, a major role in curbing some of these mental health challenges that we face.
This compelling documentary is available on our social media platforms. Now, stakeholders are promising to do more in the area of suicide prevention, especially child suicide, as they have for the first time developed a scorecard tool for media reporting on suicide. A stakeholder consultative meeting also adopted the latest World Health Organization recommendation for media reporting on suicide. According to the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, there's direct correlation between media reports about people who die by suicide and subsequent additional suicidal acts. This, they hope, will go a long way toward positively impacting preventive suicide.
According to the World Health Organization, at least 700,000 people die annually due to suicide. Suicide is the leading cause of death among 15 to 29 years olds globally, with 77% of suicide-related deaths occurring in low and middle-income countries, including Ghana. Responsible reporting on suicide, where information on support services is provided, can effectively drive down suicide figures. It is in this regard that the Association of Suicide Prevention Ghana, GASP, organized the consultative stakeholder meeting with over 13 stakeholder organizations to adopt the latest WHO guidelines on suicide reporting for the media and also develop a scorecard tool for media personnel reporting on suicide. Made up of academicians, mental health professionals, crisis workers, pastoral care workers, media personnel, volunteers and suicide survivors, GASP is established to prevent suicide and suicidal behavior and alleviate its effects. Dr. Niboy Kwashi is the president of GASP.
We have seen certain individuals who are within the media landscape for a long time who have been working around suicide prevention, providing public education and so on. And a fine example is yourself, or him interior with Joy News. And going forward, the plan is that having agreed on some guidelines, we will organize trainings for our media professionals, and we will try to share with them these resources. The third leg of it will be that at the Association for Suicide Prevention, the scorecard or the basis for evaluation, that resource will be used by our center or the association to monitor periodically, get onto the platforms, pick up newspapers, go onto the online pages of all of these media houses in Ghana and see how they are making use of these resources towards improving the appropriateness and quality of news about suicide.
Meanwhile, some stakeholders who are already excited about the measures being undertaken are promising to do more in the area of prevention to save lives. First is the chairman of the National Media Commission, Yabuadu Ayebuafo, who thinks suicide reporting is newsworthy and must be done with all circumspection.
When somebody commits suicide, there's the possibility that he will leave behind children, and somebody will have to take care of those children. So it becomes an issue for the public.
We have had the stakeholder engagement with the Association of Suicide Prevention of Ghana. I think it's very timely, very good. They have opened our eyes to what can be said, what cannot be reported on.
What we're going to be doing specifically is to ensure that we do health reporting that takes account of suicide reporting as a health issue as part of the undergraduate curriculum and also at the master's level.
Participating institutions include the National Media Commission, the University of Media, Arts and Communication, the University of Ghana School of Public Health, the Ghana Mental Health Authority, the Ghana Journalists Association and GIBA. Others are the Ghana Psychological Association, the Ghana Health Service, as well as representatives of religious groupings. From Peduase for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
And before we go, the Electoral Commission says fake Ghana card numbers were used to register some individuals in the ongoing voter registration process at Pusika District Registration Center on May 13, 2024. According to the EC, approximately 70 individuals were found to have utilized counterfeit Ghana card numbers during the registration exercise conducted at the said center. And the statement they just issued says that during the registration on the said day, the data entry clerk notified the district electoral officer accordingly. Upon investigation, it was reviewed that the Ghana card numbers were fake. It was further discovered that the registration officer was complicit because he did not physically inspect the Ghana card of individual applicants, but rather accepted the fake numbers from party agents who had accompanied the 17 people. The registration officer was dismissed according to the Electoral Commission. A report was made to the police and he was arrested. He's since been granted police inquiry bail while the police continue with their investigation. The 17 applicants were subsequently, according to the Electoral Commission, registered through the Guarantor system. And whilst the police continue with their investigation, the Commission would like to warn all temporary officials that it will not countenance any breach of the electoral laws. Any person, according to EC, found violating the laws of the Commission will be handed over to the police and permanently blacklisted by the Electoral Commission. The Commission says that it is working to ensure that the process is conducted in a transparent and inclusive manner. And the EC will hold a news conference soon. We will bring the details of their press conference in subsequent bulletins. But that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. Hotel sale appear corrupt. We need to scrutinize the document. That's according to Martin Kwebu. Stopped giving government and its agencies loan. PIAC cautions GMPC. And of course, police file injunction against Dumso Must Stop demonstration. If you go on My Joy Online, you will find more of such stories and read. That's our show for today, Tuesday. Hopefully tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll have another exciting edition of The Pulse. But for now, take care of yourself. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope is profitable. My name is Elton Brobe. Have a good evening. This is Joy News, and this has been The Pulse.